Volvo has finally removed the sheet and revealed their midsize EX60 electric SUV. I've been waiting for this since they teased it last March for the ES90 reveal.
This way. Sorry, that way.
I love a good tease. They also brought back Daddy Thomas Ingenloth, who left Volvo to run Polestar and then recently left Polestar to go back to designing for Volvo. He's getting passed around more than poppers in a darkroom, child. The midsize SUV segment is going to be spicy in 2026. How well will the ES60 compete against luxury rivals like the BMW iX3 or the Mercedes GLC with EQ technology? I compared their features so you don't have to. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jenks, the best tech and automotive reviewer here on YouTube without press credentials. If you could do me a huge favor and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is July 11th. I need 600 subscribers to get there. I'm gonna do a huge tech giveaway as soon as I reach 1,000 subs. So if you could, click that button. It really means a lot to me and it helps me out a ton. Let's go. People in the United States love SUVs. Like the Hummer EV, what is it? It's like a 9,500 pound behemoth. I hate driving behind big SUVs. I can't fucking see. Usually they drive like assholes because they don't know how to drive something so huge. Although I did get a Kia EV9 for a second, and I guess it's not as big, but it's still pretty large, but that's another story. Midsize SUVs give you more space than a sedan, but at a price that is obtainable by the middle class, which in this economy, the middle class is basically the lower class at this point. Now the Volvo EX60, for me at first glance, it was really giving almost wagon proportions. I mean, just look, perfect timing. Wagon. Almost. Just lower the roof line, stretch it out just a little bit. Mary, that's a wagon. I always said that any company who releases an electric only wagon could just take my money right away. And it's funny because when I originally wrote the script for this video, I had originally said, oh, well, I guess the EX60 is probably the closest I'll get to almost wagon, so I might as well just go for it. But 24 hours ago, automotive publication The Drive actually sat down with Volvo's Chief Strategy and Product Officer, Michael Fleiss, who told them to watch this space in regards to wagons coming back. And as we know, Volvo originally committed to only EVs, battery electric vehicles, but because of market conditions, they have since changed their heading to include plug-in hybrids as well. So they've already done the plug-in wagon thing. I really fucking hope that Volvo invests in an electric wagon because I will just give them my routing number right now. When the EX60 reveal started, it was really impressive. They did this, at first I thought it was an effect, maybe I thought it was just like a projection on it, but they actually had a mechanism like in the hub of the wheels where they were spinning the entire time amidst a backdrop, like a swooping backdrop. So it looked like the car was driving on stage the whole time. Watching it live on my huge projector back here, I was like, am I getting motion sickness right now? Obviously I've seen that feature in music videos and elsewhere, but to see it live in the moment, it was really impressive. Volvo revealed the standard EX60, but then they surprised us with a cross-country variant as well. The cross-country variant sits 20 millimeters higher. There's a bunch of black cladding. It looks a little bit more aggressive, but it also has air suspension, which could then raise it 20 more millimeters for a total of 40 millimeters above the standard EX60. Interestingly enough, the standard EX60 doesn't come with air suspension. It's not even an option, at least at launch. But the standard does have frequency selective adaptive dampers that monitor the road up to 500 times a second, and it is user customizable. And I'm not gonna spend any time really talking about the cross-country, but it's not even gonna be available to build until the end of 2026, if not early 2027. But I did want to point out something weird that I noticed, and the other automotive YouTuber, Bembly, who does the designs, he also pointed this out, even to the point where he drew over it as like an added feature. The front bumper of the cross country at certain angles, it looks like, because of the reflections, it looks like it has like an added trim piece. If you look at other pictures of the cross country from the front, you can see that it's just glossy black plastic. So something to keep in mind, that depending on the angles you're looking at it and where the lighting is coming from, it actually may look like trim piece, which I thought was weird. Another thing that's weird on the design of this car, the front logo. If you look at that diagonal line going across the crest, the bottom left side of the line sits, I don't know, maybe 3 inches above the bottom of the bumper, that crease. But the top right side, it only sits like a few centimeters below the crease. It looks like they designed it too high on the bumper. I think they were designing it so that the logo was centered from the bottom of the bumper to where the hood starts. Because if you look at it from that perspective, then it's even. Do you see what I'm talking about? Let me know in the comments if you notice it or if you care. It just looks really off to me. Now, the bones of the EX60 are quite impressive. Its frame is developed using mega casting, which is a Volvo first. It reduces hundreds of individual components into one single piece. This saves Volvo money, of course, but it also minimizes the amount of moving parts, separate parts. This is also a big plus to the consumer because it reduces weight, it improves range, and minimizes NVH in the cabin. The Huygen Core Central Computing System, which stands for bird in Norse mythology, okay, is powered by the latest offerings from NVIDIA and Qualcomm and allows the EX60 to complete 254 trillion operations per second, or TOPS.
Are you homosexual?
A what?
A homosexual.
And you'd think all that processing power would allow for hands-free driving, but I don't think this thing has hands-free driving. More on that in a little bit. Styling-wise, you get 20 to 22-inch wheels, HD pixel headlights with 25,600 individual pixels to individually block out up to 5 cars and 3 other objects at one time, and the wing grip door handles with a touchpad that electrically releases the door. I do want to mention that in the, I don't know, half a dozen reviews I watched after the initial reveal, all of them had troubles opening the door. Now, I get that this is just like an early production demo model, but it's kind of crazy to be Volvo, which is like the pinnacle of safety when it comes to automotive brands. I don't want to say they pioneered this idea because other automakers have done this as well, but to introduce a new type of door handle for the brand and for it to malfunction for the press. So many of the reviewers were pulling on it and like touching the touchpad and it just wouldn't open. And if you want soft close doors, you're gonna have to step up to the EX90 because soft close doors are unavailable on the EX60. The charging of this thing is pretty incredible. It can charge up to 370 kilowatts, which for vehicles in the US is pretty much on the higher end. I know in China they're up to like megawatts at this point, but you know, we can't do it like China. We like to pretend that we're better than China in this country, and by we I mean like our government officials, but we're not. And at this charging rate, it's not ousted by many vehicles. The BMW or the upcoming BMW iX3 should be able to hit 400 kilowatts, but they're not too far off. The EX60 can get up to 400 miles of range on the EPA cycle, though if you upgrade to 22-inch wheels, it's gonna drop to about 375. There are 3 battery variants that you can buy, the highest being 112 kilowatt hours of usable energy, which in addition to the weight savings from the mega casting, significantly helps with those range figures. The other 2 smaller battery variants will allow up to 300 miles of range, which of course will go down slightly if you choose bigger wheels. The EX60 is configurable now in Europe, so of course I ran over to the UK website to build it, and they didn't show this color or this type of wheel during the presentation, but this heather bronze option, it's $1,100, and the black wheels are also $1,100. Stunning. Orgasmic. This will be my spec for sure when I buy this car. Inside, as far as tech, Volvo maintains its minimalistic Scandinavian design language. You get 2 screens. You get one 15-inch infotainment screen in the center that's curved outward, which I'd never actually seen that in a car. And then you have an 11.4-inch driver display screen that's directly in front of the driver, but it's pushed really close to the windscreen, which I guess is supposed to like alleviate having a head-up display because it's in your line of sight as the driver. I'm really interested in seeing how this plays out. I do have a head-up display in my Polestar 3, and it's fine. Like, I kind of feel like I forget about it at times, whereas I feel like more often I'm looking down at the infotainment screen, which on the Polestar 3, it's like attached to the steering wheel when I'm looking at maps or whatever. So I feel like that was a good change. We'll have to see. This of course means that there's also no screen for the rear passengers or the front passenger. There's no hyperscreen excessive bullshit in this car. Also a first, not only just for Volvo, but for any production car at launch to come with Gemini, Google Gemini, the EX60 has it, world first. But when I think about Google Gemini, it makes me think of CarPlay Ultra and how, gosh, it feels like 367 years at this point. I was so excited about CarPlay Ultra, I made like an entire Instagram post about it. But currently, years and years and years after announcing it, the only automotive brand that supports CarPlay Ultra is Aston Martin in their DBX. And that's out of my price range. Originally, Polestar, Volvo, and a bunch of other brands were listed as supportive of CarPlay Ultra, but since then a lot of them have walked it back. I don't know what the future of CarPlay Ultra is. I feel like if any automotive brand is going to include it, it would be Volvo, but we're really just going to have to see how that plays out. But it does have wireless Apple CarPlay, and it should get wireless Android Auto later on over a software update. Physical buttons and joysticks flank both sides of the steering wheel, and to me, this is a significant win over any of the touchpad shit. I've rented a Mercedes C-Class once, and the touchpad on the steering wheel was just... it was too much. I hate it. I hate that touch sensitive shit. Also on the Polestar 3, it's not as bad, but it's actually not great either. I'm not gonna leave the BMW iX3 out of this either because they also have touch sensitive controls on their upcoming vehicle, though they're calling it Shy Tech, which it's like, it's only there when you need it. But anything that's touch sensitive on a steering wheel or just anywhere on earth, hate it. But it's not all bad as far as switches go because there are finally four window switches from the driver's side. So you no longer have to like push a button and so the two switches that you have switch between the front windows and the back windows. You get 4 individual switches. Thank Christ. Other standard features, again, these are standard. To me, this is really impressive because a lot of other companies will nickel and dime you for these, are Park Pilot Assists, which will park the car for you, of course. Pilot Assists will keep you moving in traffic and keep you centered in your lane, which have you heard the news? Tesla has taken that feature, lane centering, away from its vehicles. Good old Elon. You also get a power tailgate, rain sensing wipers, heated front and rear seats, vehicle to load, 19.2 kilowatts of level 2 charging, which again, a lot of companies like Cadillac will charge more to go from 11 kilowatts to the 19.2. So that's impressive that it's included here. And a 1200 watt, 21 speaker Bose audio system with 3D surround and active noise cancellation. All of this is standard, y'all. As far as upgrades, you can get the adaptive suspension I mentioned earlier. That is an upgrade, as well as things like an electrochromic roof, laminated side windows, ventilated front seats, although none in the rear, sadly. The Kia EV9 and the Hyundai Ioniq 9 have ventilated seats in the back. Wish more automakers would just include that as standard. You also get as an upgrade a 1,820 watt, 28 speaker Bowers & Wilkins Dolby Atmos spatial audio surround sound system.
Holy shit!
And Apple Music is built into the vehicle so you can enjoy that spatial audio. I have the 25 speaker, 1,610 watt Bowers & Wilkins system in my Polestar 3. Sadly, there is no native Apple Music app, so I haven't been able to actually experience that. I'm pretty sure if I downloaded Tidal or Amazon Music, it would work, but I want to use it, but I also just don't care that much to spend money on another monthly music subscription when I already have one, because even without spatial audio, the sound from the Bowers & Wilkins, best audio system I've ever heard, ever, in a vehicle, for sure. Plenty of other automotive reviewers will back me up on that Bowers & Wilkins system being the best they've ever heard, including MKBHD, so take our word for it. Also, I wanted to ask you all watching, do you have or use an electrochromic roof in your vehicle? And if so, does it do anything? To me, if I pull up on a street and I'm given a handy in my car, I would probably turn it on because I wouldn't want somebody in a high rise above me to be able to see what I'm doing. But whenever I see automotive reviewers toggle it when they're giving a review, it doesn't actually look like it's doing much with the light blocking. So I'm just curious, if you have an electrochromic roof in your car, if you've experienced it, sound off in the comments below because I'm just curious if it's worth the investment. Now, obviously all of this sounds great, but how does the EX60 compare to the BMW iX3 and the Mercedes GLC with EQ technology? Let me show you. But first, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, I make things. I make these candles in my kitchen. It smells freaking incredible. I print t-shirts in my office space, so I've got a couple of those. Come on. This also, a portion of the proceeds go to a really good cause. It really helps me. Keeps the roof over my head. Food on the table. Arouse-aesthetics.com. That's AROUSE-AESTHETICS.com. I'll also put a little QR code somewhere over here. And I'll give you a second to get your phone out and scan it. Okay, great. Thank you. Subscribe, buy my shit. All right, I made this cute little chart. I'm gonna scroll up as I go, so if you can't see anything over my big dome, you'll be able to see it. Let's look at how the Volvo EX60 compares to the BMW iX3 and the Mercedes GLC with EQ technology. Starting with the electrochromic roof, the EX60 and the GLC have it, the iX3 does not. Massage seats. I actually was surprised because initially I didn't think the iX3 had them, but I did some digging and it does. So the iX3 and the Mercedes win. The EX60 does not have massage seats. You're gonna have to, again, step up to the EX90 for that. Hands-free driving.
Oh shit, here we go again.
This is where things get really interesting. So the iX3 has highway assistant. It will allow you to drive hands-free on the highway, I believe up to 85 miles per hour. And it has a really cool feature where if you want to change lanes, you can just look over into the side mirrors and it'll confirm and change the lane for you. I think that's really cool. The Mercedes has the MB Drive Assist Pro, which if you haven't seen that demoed, there are a lot of automotive reviewers right now who are doing that. It's basically hands-off driving in the city, on the highway, whatever. I know the MB Drive Assist Pro is gonna come later to the GLC. I don't think it's gonna be available at launch. Now for the EX60, I'm getting conflicting information. On stage, Volvo execs mentioned Navi Pilot Assist. This is the first time I've ever heard this come out of Volvo, and they mentioned it on stage twice, but they really just, it was quick. It was like Navi Pilot Assist, period. They didn't mention if it was hands-off. All they mentioned is that it's supposed to be ramp to ramp highway driving. But then when I was watching automotive reviews immediately after the reveal, one reviewer said that it's supposed to get Pilot Assist Plus sometime in 2026, which is effectively just Pilot Assist, which most all Volvo and Polestar products have, but hands off.
Holy shit!
But I haven't seen this confirmed online anywhere. I've never heard this coming from a Volvo executive's mouth. So if you all are able to confirm this, if you've heard anything either about Navi Pilot Assist or Pilot Assist Plus, I almost said Pro, Pilot Assist Plus, please let me know if you've had this confirmed from a Volvo exec, because I have Pilot Assist in my Polestar 3. It's fine. I feel like highway driving is way better, was way better on my Kia EV9 because I can have my hands off for like up to 45 seconds. And if I did put my hand on the wheel, I could literally just do like a little pinky lightest press ever. Whereas I could be gripping my Polestar 3 steering wheel and eventually it's like, you're not touching the wheel. So I don't know, Volvo's Pilot Assist is just not as good as its competitors. So if they can finally just make it hands off, that would be ideal. Let me know in the comments if you've heard any of this any of this very useful information about hands-off Volvos. Thank you. Air suspension. So the cross-country EX60 will get it, not the standard version. Not on the BMW, but the Mercedes GLC will have it. Rear axle steering and the passenger screen. Again, wins for the Mercedes. The Volvo and the BMW have neither. Charging speed, not too much of a difference, right? The iX3 is the highest at 400, followed by the EX60 at 370, and then the GLC will cap out at 330. Not super crazy differences. I'm assuming that most people are charging at home anyway, but these are still impressive. AC charging, the EX60 wins. The iX3 and the GLC cap out at 11 for level 2. The EX60 is 19.2, which I think is 22 in Europe, but I don't know if it's like capped here because of regulations or if it's like counted differently in Europe. Sorry, that's probably like a really ignorant thing to say, but I just saw that it was 22 in Europe and not here. So I'm assuming 19.2 is just like the US standard. Let me know. I'm ignorant. I don't know about that stuff. Usable battery capacity. EX60 wins with 112. The iX3 comes close behind with 108.7. Mercedes lags behind with 94, which you'll see below, obviously affects the range. Horsepower for the EX60 is 670, followed by the iX3 at 463, and the GLC is a little bit higher with 483. So the EX60 is just murdering this section. 0 to 60 in 3.8, EX60 wins. We don't yet, or at least I don't yet have 0 to 60 figures for the GLC. I probably could have looked harder and figured it out, but like trying to translate the different languages and like figure out all this stuff on the European websites was kind of annoying, so I just didn't look. I know it's not gonna be faster, obviously, than the EX60, so the EX60 wins here. Real world range, 400 for the EX60 and the iX3. Mercedes is gonna be approximately 300. Again, if you get bigger wheels, it might be a little bit less. I'm very, very interested for perhaps out of spec reviews to get all three of these mamas and do a range test. If you all need an extra driver, come find me. I will take the EX60, thank you. Speakers, again, EX60 takes the cake with the 28 Bowers & Wilkins with 1820 watts. The iX3, well, let me start with the GLC. So the GLC comes in second with 21 speakers, which seems good. 4D Dolby Atmos, but it's only 750 watts. I've only experienced Burmeister once in that C-Class that I rented last year, and it was very, 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 very mediocre. Very. I don't know how many speakers it was, and I think Burmeister now makes like 3D and 4D speakers for Mercedes, so maybe that was 3D and maybe there's something better, but I wasn't really impressed considering the fact that usually Mercedes are always more expensive than their competitors. Just saying. And then for the iX3, I have watched at least 24 reviews of the iX3. Not a single reviewer, and y'all pissed me off for this, not a single one of you have reviewed the sound system. Not one. That is insane to me. Harman Kardon in the iX3 has 13 speakers, which is like, that's okay. It could be worse, could be better. But it's only 365 watts of power with no Dolby Atmos. To me, unless they're doing some voodoo, these have to sound not great. Towing capacity. So it says the GLC gets 5,291, which I don't know how it would be so much higher than the other two, considering like horsepower and everything else is so much less. So I don't feel like pausing and doing all this over. But like, as far as what I saw, the Mercedes GLC is 5,300 pounds of towing capacity, followed by the EX60 4,500, followed by the iX3 at 44. And now price. So of course it's going to change in different markets, right? Like there are so many stupid Trump pedo tariffs in this country that like by the time these things get over here, I don't really know what the prices are going to be. I don't know if the EX60 is going to be built in their South Carolina factory just yet. I don't know how it's all going to work, but at least when I went and built them all from the same German website, the EX60 came out to 84,470 euros, the iX3 came out to 84,650, and the Mercedes came up to a whopping 97,000 euros, which is quite a bit more expensive. Now, if you could say like, Mercedes is coming with a little bit more like I don't know why I can't say that. Rear axle steering is really like the only, and the passenger screen, maybe towing more if I didn't make a mistake, but like, I don't know. I feel like Mercedes is gonna start losing the price wars on their vehicles. What do you all think? As a Polestar 3 owner, I cannot wait for my lease to end so I can purchase the EX60. I originally really wanted the iX3, but then I saw the GLC and I was like, oh, that's kind of sexy. But personally, I'm not a huge fan of the GLC's shape. Like it's not really new. It's not really exciting. I feel like the taillights look really weird with the black strip across the back. A lot of people hate BMW's new design language. I think it's exciting. I think it's interesting. I love that the designer is black. You don't really get that often. Like, hello, you don't really get a lot of black automotive anything in this world. So despite his ethnicity, I do think the iX3 is just refreshing, personally. But then the EX60 comes out with their little wing door handles and their 400 miles of range and the black wheels with the heather bronze paint, child. And honestly, I've always loved Volvo. I used to really want a wagon. A girlfriend of mine in college, when I was like pretending to be straight, she had, I wanna say it was the S40, and it was like this lime, like greenish gold color. If I can find a picture of it, I'll post it. But I don't know. Personally, I love Volvo. I'm really excited for the EX60. What would you prefer? The EX60, the iX3, or the GLC with EQ technology? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for supporting. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.